Hey everybody, Lindsay here. And on this edition of Lindsay Reviews Retro or Lindsay's Retro Reviews, whatever the hell I decide to call this, we're going to be talking about 1989's Relentless.
But if you act like a victim, you're going to be a victim.
My father said I was sick.
Once.
This movie stars Judd Nelson, Robert Loggia, Leo Rossi, and Meg Foster. If you're not sure who those people are, Judd Nelson was Bender in The Breakfast Club. Robert Loggia was the CEO of the toy company in Big. They do chopsticks on the piano. That's Robert Loggia. Meg Foster was Evelyn in Masters of the Universe. And Leo Rossi is the guy who cheered on Jodie Foster's brutal gang rape in The Accused.
Hey, I know you! Oh, do I remember you!
That's who's in this movie.
Maybe there's somebody you could stay with for a while. Are there people you could stay with?
You mean broad?
I came across this movie because I saw the cover, which was really interesting. I'm like, ooh, Judd Nelson as a serial killer? That sounds fun. Let's watch that. And I really enjoyed the first 3/4 of this movie. The basic storyline is Judd Nelson is a guy. And his dad was like this hard-nosed, stone-faced, gritty, dirty, hairy cop in LA. Like he was no nonsense. By the book, mostly, tough as nails, and an asshole. Because there's flashbacks in this movie. This guy trained Judd Nelson from the time he was a very, very small child to be a cop. And to do that, he has him fire live weapons at a very, very young age and is very angry with him when on his first shot he doesn't hit the target. First shot. He's pointing at that hole and his brain is gonna explode that this boy did not hit the target. Didn't even hit the target. And there's another exercise that he does where he's army crawling underneath some ropes while his father is firing at him with live ammo. This kid's gonna turn out fine. Well, all this kid wants, all Judd Nelson wants, is to become a cop like his dad. But he's a psychopath, and so they're like, no, you can't come be a cop. You failed the psych exam.
See? They didn't accept me. The psychiatrist said no, and that's it. What do I do now?
So for revenge, he decides to start, for some reason. They don't really explain it very much in the movie. I think it's just because he wants to be killed, he wants to die, and he can't do it himself, or something like that. But for some reason, he starts killing a bunch of people that have his name, his same name, as they're listed in the phone book. And sometimes it's not even that. It's very muddy how he picks his victims. I mean, some of them have the same name. Some of them just have Taylor in their name. Some of them have neither. So that part of the movie is very, very fuzzy. His motivations for why he's killing these people, why he's leaving notes on phone book pages attached to the bodies. It's very, very unexplained. And you don't you don't always need an explanation for these things, but this movie, they try to explain it and don't. But then we have our two cop characters. We have Leo Rossi, who is a former New York cop who has come to LA, and he's been promoted to the homicide division.
Hey, everybody, listen up. This is Sam Dietz. He's going to be working with me now.
How you doing? Nice talking to you.
In his first day in homicide, he meets his partner, Robert Loggia, who is not super motivated to do anything. You know, he just wants to drink his coffee and walk around crime scenes, stuff like that.
I think that we ought to get something to eat. We wait for the lab report, wait for the autopsy, we wait for the prints, then we make up the theories. Thanks.
I just feel like we ought to be doing something, Malloy.
And so they butt heads quite a bit because Leo Rossi's character is very gung-ho, wants to get in there, wants to figure this out, wants to really dive into the clues. And Robert Loggia is just like, shut the fuck up. Let's go to a Dodgers game. Most of the movie consists of Judd Nelson killing someone and them at the crime scene trying to figure it out, and Robert Loggia not listening to Leo Rossi.
Knock off the old-timer stuff. I don't want a snot-nose for a partner.
And don't tell me I'm not helping.
You're not helping us. You want to help us? Tell us who the fuck this guy is. What the fuck is with the phone book? Who the fuck killed him?
That's most of the first part of the movie. But there is other things going on. The relationship between the two of them reminded me a lot of the relationship between Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman in Seven.
Well, I did my time on door-to-doors and walking a beat. I did that shit for a long time. And badge on my belt says detective. That's the same as yours.
You have this gung-ho rookie, new to homicide, wanted to be in homicide, wants to work homicide, and then you have this grizzled, over-it veteran cop who is a little more slow, a little more methodical in his methods, and isn't ready to just jump off at the slightest inkling of a clue. He's much more measured and steady. And that stuff about their relationship I really enjoyed, because they finally do kind of become friends, etc., etc. They get to where they understand each other, I would say.
You know, Malloy, I always had you figure for a catcher.
I catch a lot of shit from you, that's for sure.
But then the last third or more of this movie just turns into Manhunter, aka Red Dragon. It's like the same exact plot, down to the detective Leo Rossi leaking a psychological profile in the local newspaper saying he's a freak and a sex maniac and probably a deviant and all this crazy shit to try and get him to come out and show his face. You know, force him into action so they can catch him.
According to you, I'm a vicious, perverted sexual failure. A bottom-feeding lowlife who's about to go down in flames.
He is an anally fixated, sexually impotent, socially inept individual who's probably using homicide as a means of hiding his own feelings of inadequacy and worthlessness.
And it backfires on them pretty dramatically. And then there's the whole ending scene where he's like, "Oh my God, my wife and child are in danger. He's gonna know he didn't come to the trap. He's gonna go and get my family." And there's the whole thing at the end where he's got the son, and then Leo Rossi, just like the cop in Manhunter and Red Dragon, uses the psychological tricks on him to get him to think like, oh, that's the father, or that's the parent, the parental figure, the traumatic parental figure in this killer's life. Let me use that to try and disarm them. And it works for the most part. I mean, he doesn't really disarm him in this movie. He just shoots him full of holes. In Judd Nelson's father's still bloody leather jacket, because his father was killed on duty. I think Judd Nelson's performance is really interesting in this movie.
Yes, I'd like to report a prowler. I believe I heard somebody on... Oh my God!
He's giving like a cross between Kevin Spacey in Seven and Patrick Bateman in American Psycho. It's just this really odd performance. He looks weird with his haircut. It's very out of the box for something Judd Nelson would do. I mean, he plays other killer. I think he did a TV movie where he plays a serial killer, like Cabin on the Lake or something like that, where he puts women in the lake and he chains them down and they float. What the hell is that called?
Deranged killers have the strangest of hobbies.
Sorry, I gotta go off and murder someone.
Whether it's sailing
I want off this boat.
or a spot of gardening,
He gardens their underwater graves.
they have dynamic vision
Okay, I'll drown the girl. You know, this is some sick stuff.
and an artistic approach.
Which one of you wants to die?
There's a little bit of Stanley in everybody.
Judd Nelson stars in Cabin by the Lake on 2 consecutive Thursdays on Zone Thriller.
Anyway, I really liked his performance. I thought it was very, very interesting. Robert Loggia's fun and good and charming and great.
You don't like it? Kiss my ass.
The biggest problem I had with this movie, besides them just doing Manhunter, they just pulled a Manhunter, is Leo Rossi. And this is my fault. It's not his fault. His performance is a little off for me. And it's hard for me to see him as a good guy because the only other thing I've really seen him in is this movie where he plays the most disgusting piece of shit ever. and if I would, that's just the look and the vibe that he gives off. He's really good at playing a son of a bitch.
Hey, wanna play pinball?
So it's odd to see him as like this family man with his wife Meg Foster. And it's weird to see her in the role too. She does a good job. It's kind of an odd performance. She's a little weird.
Sam, will you do me a favor? Just this once, try and remember that you don't have to set the world on fire your first day.
But she's just a loving housewife, you know?
Avocado omelet.
But it was very hard for me to take Leo Rossi seriously in this role. And even just beyond that, I don't know. His performance was the tone was weird.
But I want to know why you met him not responding to our order.
What order?
Oh, give me that, you asshole. 4 men, all-day stakeout, remember?
The kills in this movie are very interesting because they're all different. He dispatches people differently every time, essentially, and makes it look like it's obviously a murder, but makes it look like they did it to themselves. Like poses them and like he's strangling this one woman who's hiding in a dryer, which is a whole other thing. She's hiding in a dryer. He finds her there, pulls her out, and is strangling her with a piano cord wire thing. And he grabs her hands and puts her hands on the wire and makes her strangle herself, essentially. Another guy, he puts his hand over a knife and makes him stab himself. So it's kind of like there's a separation, like he's not actually doing it. Maybe that's how he's justifying this in his mind. I don't know. That's another disappointing thing about this movie is just they tried to give me pieces and like why Judd Nelson's character is doing the things he's doing, but it's just very incomplete. It's very incomplete. It's like if you just want to have a mysterious killer, that's fine. Don't give me any information, but when you try to explain it and you fail to, then that's a problem. That's a problem.
Maybe he's just crazy. I could have said that, but I get paid for it.
But also, what really drew me to this movie, and the most successful thing about it, I would say, is it's directed by William Lustig, who did Maniac, which I absolutely love. It's such a brutal and bold and crazy movie, and it's stylish, and I love the way that he directed it. And this one, he does a very good job too. He gets some very, very dynamic shots. There's this one scene of Judd Nelson sitting on the rooftop, and he's essentially working out. And then he gets out on the ledge and starts running around the ledge of the building like he's exercising. And the way he shot that was really, really cool. So overall, I don't know if I would recommend this film. It's got some interesting things going on, but then it just turns into Manhunter. So you know what's gonna happen. You know exactly what's gonna happen. But it does have some interesting performances in it. It's got great direction in it. It's just the writing isn't that great or original.
I hate your fucking guts. I hate your fucking guts as much as you hate mine.
Well, that's gonna do it for this little video. I had watched this movie on a whim, and I just thought it would be fun to come talk to you guys about it because there's a lot of fun, interesting stuff going on in it. But there are sequels to this movie, There are 4 movies in the Relentless series, and I'm gonna watch all of them and come tell you all about them, each and every one. I think Leo Rossi, he may not be in the next one, but he is in the 3rd and 4th one for sure. I'm not sure about this next one. They may have recast it, but it follows his character through further cases, etc., I believe. I didn't look too much into them because I just want to pop them in and watch them. So stay tuned for that. You'll get Relentless 2, 3, and 4. And I'm very excited to see how off the rails this franchise gets, because I had never heard of this movie before I stumbled across it. So I can't imagine where we go in 2, 3, and 4 of the Relentless series. So until next time, this is Lindsay signing off. I'll check you later.